And we are live with Josh from HighCut again. The
Yo.
podcast number one.
Yes, now we're on third one, I think, right?
Yeah. You
So
came
we did
back
when we
with
came.
Cam, yeah,
Yep.
which was dope. That was a
Yeah, it
lot of
was a
fun
while ago. You've done a lot. Holy cow.
in a year's time, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. I don't know how you do it. I'd just tear my hair out.
It's just so easy, bro.
Yeah.
You just
I
Uh,
don't believe you.
no. Well, you know what? Like the community stuff is super easy though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well, you enjoy it.
Yeah.
That
So,
helps a lot.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Beginning of last year, I wasn't very happy, man. I was running that there was a lot of money coming in,
Yeah.
but like doing my side stuff and then running those big commercial sites, there was the money was good, but I was just fucking miserable, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that right? Was that this before you went out back to taping full time?
Oh yeah.
Or yeah.
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 So I was still doing that contract work until like March. I went out to
Yeah.
Vegas with Aaron and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna start doing this, I need to like really sharpen up.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing to jump into. I'd be intimidated to do all that. I don't know how like that. I don't have that personality to just like, hey, look at me. I just don't have it. I'm not like I'm just not like a colorful personality, you know. I just go do it.
I'm very good at pretending that I love attention, and then it becomes this like funny game,
Yeah.
and it just gets you. Yeah, it honestly, if I didn't have kids, I would be living in the mountains in a fucking place where I was cutting my
Hmm.
own wood, dude. Like I'm not a
No shit.
huge people person.
Oh, I know. I say that
Um,
to my wife all the time. The older I get, the more like a homestead sounds really nice.
oh,
Just don't deal with anything. Going to town once in a while.
when
So
you feel
nice.
like it,
Yeah,
yeah.
not because I need sandpaper.
Again,
Again, yeah. Or another pair of snips that just randomly left my box.
again.
Again. Yeah.
Um, Nate and Steve and I work a lot, like not all three of us, but within the three of us we all work a lot
Yep.
together. And man, the amount where like a knife or a thing or a snips or whatever the fuck is, it just
Oh
ends up
yeah.
places, right? And then you always feel like a dick where you're like,
Yeah.
sorry bro,
Yeah.
did you buy a new one? I'll buy this from you.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, that's how like a lot of the times it's just me and my cousin on the jobs. Generally,
Hmm.
he's there to, help me out, get these places just ripping. And but we've got like the same knives, same
Yeah.
snips, and he'll leave to go to another job and just grab the first ones he sees, but he's also got his in his car. So now I'm like tracking down my stuff. It just like you said, it happens. I'm really bad about just setting a tool down
Yeah.
and forgetting and just walking the house 10 times trying to find it. And it's in the dumbest place. I'll usually stick it over a door jam or something,
Yeah.
just
You're
walk
like,
right by it.
why the fuck do I do that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
Mhm.
I got into a
Um,
bad habit of taking my hawk and sticking it in the top of the window, just the corner of it, and it'll hang there, and you can't see it because it's
yep.
flat. My uncle got me into that, and I'm like, I wish you never showed me that. It's not a good thing to do anyways, because I don't want to hurt the window, but it's just like I don't think about it. I just drive it in there and
I
walk
mean,
away.
if you were on stilts, that's a hell of a little life
That's why I do
hack.
it. Yeah, like if you're taping
Yeah.
something, you just stick it in the top of the window real quick, or you put it between your legs, but mud can drop on
Mhm.
the floor. So
Yep.
one of those bad habits.
There are
Hmm.
worse bad habits.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you gonna talk about, man? There's just this. You told me to
So what have you
remind
been?
you. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No.
What have you been doing? Like, because you got a lot going with Columbia now. How's that been? You
Oh,
guys
really
been
cool,
working on
man.
anything coming up?
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say that. I'm not gonna say it out loud because I'm not really supposed to. But yeah,
yeah.
there's some big things coming down the pipe.
That's cool.
Yeah, really cool stuff and some exciting stuff. But I mean, this whole big site we're doing in Surrey is a Columbia production, right? Pretty much.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's Aaron's the one that found it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, that's super excited and like getting the whole team together is exciting. Like 2024 is going to be a big year, man.
That's cool.
I'm heading down to South Carolina on the 19th to go do like
Nice.
a customer appreciation day, like sit at a booth and answer questions and shit for a day.
Wow.
It's gonna be dope,
That's
man.
wild.
That's the first one. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's
My
sick.
my ass isn't really puckered up about it because it's
Yeah.
just they're people like me. It's like I have a fucking podcast. Talking to people all day is gonna be great.
Yeah.
But that like, are you gonna do a good enough job thing is definitely there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's super cool. If I did that quarterly, I would love that.
That's awesome. Well, you get to go out and shake the hands of the guys using the tools too, you know.
That's the
You
biggest
know,
thing is
answer
you,
questions, just shoot the shit.
yeah, I'll actually be helping.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's we don't have that kind of community around here. We're very like spread out, and the only reason we have a bunch of work is because my uncle's been in this area for 40 years. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
if I was just starting out, I mean, I'd probably have enough work to stay busy, but we wouldn't be chasing houses like we are right now, just running like dogs. But
I,
I mean, the flat box, like the auto tool thing, didn't really start to come around here until just very recently, within the last, I would say maybe 10 years, if that. And we don't have anybody, you know, to just come together with and do that stuff. It's all just a bunch of junkies and alcoholics running
yeah.
around here, screwing up houses.
Yeah, I mean, if you took like a protractor and made a circle around my house of 100
Yeah.
kilometers, like some of the best tapers in North America are here.
Yeah. Seriously. You guys like have that little hub. It's awesome. I'm
Yeah, the
jealous.
G,
And actually,
G
I mean, you guys really aren't that far from me. I mean, so you guys are kind of over New York.
mhm.
Yeah, so you're not that far, 5, 6 hours probably. Maybe as the crow flies, 5 or 6 hours, but
Yeah.
probably drive wise, be a day and a half.
Yeah, when they stop you at the border, it takes quite a while.
Yeah.
Not only Chad, but also Cam on
Oh,
their way.
really?
Yeah, well, we had tickets to start that site on the 23rd and they were non-refundable. So instead of just throwing them out, we were like, why don't we just go?
Yeah.
Right. And we hung out for the weekend and we came home.
Yep.
Um, yeah, man, but Chad got like the 10th degree, man. They were like,
Oh,
what are you
really?
doing? And like, dude, how many guns do you have at home? He's like, I don't have any
Business or
guns.
pleasure.
Yeah, and like and he wasn't even coming to work. Like he was just coming to Canada for the first time and we were like, "Hey, the fuck
That's
are you
weird.
doing here?
Yeah. Who told you you could come here?
Get the fuck out of here." Now, he does look like the guy from Breaking Bad a little bit. So I mean like I get it, but Chad is
Yeah.
such a great guy. Like and
Yeah.
they were asking him questions that didn't even pertain to what they were doing and they were
Yeah.
telling him that. They were just being difficult. And
Just
then
trying to get him to say something that'll incriminate himself so they
that's
can't
what
let him in.
that's what it was. And I think,
Yeah.
and you know what? If you every 100th person put in that position, you'd probably catch people doing stupid shit for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah. And all you got to do is get him to say one thing. You go, ah,
ah,
and then guess you're going back.
yeah. Joey Diaz is in a room like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see you, cocksucker.
yeah, yeah, you're gonna go in the fucking hole. And then we're gonna talk again about what you think you might have done. And he's got you
Oh, yeah.
fucking confessing to murder charges. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been into Canada. So I actually,
It's
because
great,
I had
man.
put
There's
in,
no trouble at the border. Come on over anytime.
yeah, well, I'll try it. I sent in for
Oh,
my passport like a year ago when you and I were talking. Well, yeah, at least a year ago, and
yeah.
never heard anything. So I got to do it again apparently. But it was like towards the end of COVID too. I don't know if I didn't do something
Oh,
right or could have just got lost. It was just the online prompt to get the ball rolling, but I never heard back. So should probably do that.
yeah,
Sarah and I have been
dude.
wanting to get our passports anyway. So
Yeah, my next biggest thing is like figuring out how to like personally take jobs in the
yeah.
States. So
Oh
there's
yeah.
there's going to be a lot of kind of horse shit. Like
Yeah.
when you're tagging along, you can get like a vacation work visa, which basically you can stretch out for the year, but it's saying like
Yeah.
I'm going to come for a week every once in a while and then I'm going to go home, I promise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and they don't give a fuck, man.
Yep.
Um, Especially when you're just helping other people out. Like it's not like I'm down there searching for work. It's if
Right.
I'm coming
Right.
down to lend a hand, but then it's
Yep.
legit, right?
Yeah. Well, that's cool though. You planning to do that?
Oh, it's the game plan, dude.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
April, we're in BC. Um, okay, so the next month's schedule is like Charleston, like I said, or wherever
Yep.
fuck it is. And then we go down to Orlando for a couple of days and then out to BC and then fly into New Mexico. I'm gonna be
When are you
gone
in
all of it.
Orlando?
The 25th to the 27th. Why?
Because I'm gonna be in Orlando. Uh, the 29th. That would have
Dude,
worked out great. Although
that
my
would have been
wife would be
dope.
like, we're down here for us. You're not gonna go hang out with your fucking Instagram friends or what?" Sorry.
Well, oh, you're allowed to swear on this one. Don't worry.
I probably did
Um,
on the last two, forgot.
Totally.
Damn, that would have
Um,
worked out cool. 2 days later, I'll be down there.
Dude, Ernesto from It's Cali, Cam, Aaron, Phil, Nick. Chad was gonna come, but I don't think he's coming anymore.
Yeah.
Brad Kennedy from CSR, right? And then
Yeah.
God knows
That's
who else.
cool.
But I mean, we all got a house that we're staying. Like, it's gonna be dope.
That's
It's gonna be
sick.
so dope.
That's sick. You guys, so what are you just doing the shaking hands thing, going down and meet people or?
I have no idea. We're a small army of people. Like,
Yeah.
so Aaron even put the reach out where he was just like, do the girls want to come too and like
Yeah.
get them their own place? But then you'd have like 10 people in all Colombia,
Yeah.
like we're taking over, it
Yeah.
would have been so great. But I mean, trips and trips and trips and trips, and
Yeah.
both the Gilbert girls and Teak have gone on vacation within the last month. So like, how many
Yeah.
times are you gonna not be working in a
Yeah,
quarter?
definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I could see how that could be tough pulling
Yeah,
yourself off of jobs. It's like I don't know how it is everywhere else, but we're very busy right now,
yeah.
and that's a good thing, but it's also scary because we can see where it's heading. So, I think once we get this next election out of the way, that's going to determine a lot too.
Well, and I mean, sock it away, right? Like
Yeah.
that's I'll
Yeah.
tell you, over Christmas things got fucking slow.
Same.
Now
Yeah,
I
it slowed
wasn't out
way
there
down.
hunting out work either, but I
Hmm.
mean, the work that usually just presents itself, it was
Yep.
gone.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
it was like,
Basically
oh
from like
fuck.
Thanksgiving through the New Year's where we were like, holy crap, like go from doing a house a week to like a 70 sheet edition and then like a 50 sheet edition. Like, holy crap, it's getting right around Christmas, heating oil season. It's like we were ready for some duplexes to pop up.
Yeah, dude. Are we allowed to talk about what you're on right now?
Yeah, yeah. It's well, I don't know if I'm allowed to. I haven't been like taking a bunch of pictures, but
Tell you what, if Dana White fucking is listening to my
yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
we'll figure out the
I'm sure
penalty.
he doesn't give a shit, but yeah, I'm doing Dana White's house right now. And it was not as like sweet of a job as I was hoping it was going to be being
That
Dana White.
sucks.
It's just
Yeah,
a gutted, you know, it's cool. It's cool because
yeah.
I'm doing Dana's place, but it's man, what a chopped up house. And it's
Bummer.
like like an 80% gut. And but the weird part is the house isn't that old. It was built in the 90s, but it started out as a like a one floor modular. And then this all happened before Dana even bought it, as far as I know. They tore the roof off, stood up 8 foot walls, put a second floor, then they added an addition, then another addition, then a
Okay.
garage, then they tore the roof off the garage, added a second floor to the garage. So it's like a huge chopped up house. And he just wanted to make every room a suite. So when him and his family come up, they all have their own spot.
I
And
totally get that though.
yeah, and
It's
because
like having a real hotel room when you
yeah,
come to go to a place. It's like just gives you some space. Yeah.
definitely. And it's his whole thing was because the guy, the builder that we that's how we got in there. Obviously, it's the guy we do drywall for, the contractor. He's like, we can just make this easy and cheaper and just tear it down and start over. And he's like, nope, this is the house my kids grew up in. It's, but
Hmm.
and I get it, totally get it.
He's
But
like he's like this
yeah.
much. This is the house that my kids
Yeah.
grew up in, and he's got
Yeah.
a yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll just write you the check. Just get it done. But the old walls that were left were it's like sheets of mesh and plastered.
Oh my God.
And
Yep.
it started out as drywall, and then they like did that, and it's, man, you can't chip that shit off. It's horrible.
It's
So a
concrete,
lot of
dude.
this stuff is, oh, it's horrible. So I'm floating some of these patches out like 4.5, 5 feet. It's ridiculous. It's so time consuming. And then today I had to take today off because of my daycare.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to be sanding by like Tuesday, and it's probably going to be Thursday at this point. But and then they just hung the basement yesterday or today, probably today while I wasn't there. So
Oh, so you're doing it kind of stages, which is good. What's the
yeah,
what's the footage on that?
it's I think once the whole place is done, it'd be like 15,000. But it's not.
Wow.
It's pretty good size, which is like 300 sheets. That's how we do it up here. We don't go off
His
square footage.
sheets.
We sheet price. It's just how it's done around here. But
Uh,
yeah, it'd be about 300.
Chad too, man. And when he explained it to me, it made a lot of sense. Where like every sheet that you cut is a sheet.
It's still a sheet,
Yeah. So if you need to cut a 6 inch piece off a sheet, that's a
right?
sheet.
Well, on top of
And it
that,
makes
if
way
you,
more sense.
yeah, well, the way I looked at it too was if you just go off a square foot price, it makes sense. But like we go up on board price by height of the walls or ceiling height. So we
Right.
have $8 per sheet. Once you start at 8 foot, every foot you jump from there. That's how we base our price.
Okay.
And sometimes you can shoot yourself in the foot. Sometimes you work it comes, works out really good. You're never going to kill it on every job. You just make it up on other ones. But
Say $8 a sheet.
no, no, no,
I
no,
was gonna
God,
say,
no,
Jesus
fuck no. Our
Christ, dude.
bottom's like our bottom for 8 foot's like $30 a sheet for
Yeah,
just the
dope.
finished labor, which is it averages out like we're usually anywhere between like 65 cents to $1 a square foot. If you
American,
know,
by the way, for
American,
everyone out
right?
there,
Yes,
which is $25 a square foot up here. No.
yeah. Well, we also got three guys, cramming and
Yep.
jamming. So it goes fast, definitely. So you got to keep the workflow there. But that's the hard thing is like Christmas time, man, it slowed right down. When you're used to getting so much a week and then you basically get a third of it, like, whoa. And it's like weeks in a row, it's like, God, I haven't had that happen in a while, years. And, but we come out of it. Thank God. It's just how it goes when you got kids and it's Christmas and you gotta fill your oil tank and a dozen eggs is $20.
Well, and when you're used to having X amount coming in, it's just
Mm,
like, I'm not going to struggle at Christmas. I'm just going to fucking
no,
buy
definitely
the
not.
Christmas shit. And then, but
Yep,
then it gets tight and you're like, God damn it.
it
Do
does.
I?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just goes fast. You can have a bunch of money set aside, but once you go through that whole season, it gets burned up really fast. Regardless of saving or not, it just costs a lot to live. It's
totally.
rough. Even just like our childcare, like holy cow, I don't know how a single parent could do it. Honestly, I've
It's
said that 1,000 times
impossible.
to people. It is, man. Like what I pay a month for my two kids, I could build a brand new 400, $500,000 house and easily
Jesus.
afford it. It's like, but instead, like we were lucky. We bought our house when we were young, got a really good deal on it. I'm like, let's just hang on to it.
Hmm.
We thought about selling it during COVID, but for what we get for it, the money you're gonna make, you just throw it into another dump basically because everything went up in price so much. It's like, so
Yeah.
you're just gonna buy something to renovate. It's not even worth it.
I knew a few people that sold right as it was up like that, and
Yeah.
then it like plummeted
Yeah.
two weeks later. And then I also know people that tried to do a flip when it did that, and they just
Yes.
fucking lost their ass. Well,
Yep.
actually, the one guy held on to the house for like 8 months because
That's
he's
probably the
like,
best thing to do.
I can't fight. Yeah, you pay the extras on it because you're like, I'm not losing
Oh
$100,000
my
like
God, I
or
know.
whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the prices some of these houses were going for were just, I mean, like my house, what we have a small cape, and it's just, it was a great first home, and it's 3 bedroom, it's plenty big enough, but the same thing was going for 3 times what we paid for this, and it needed to be renovated. And it was like it was from the 70s, and I'm like, we paid 100 grand for this place, and you're telling me
Nice.
this is worth 300 grand unrented, like wood paneling, just like just a complete dump basically. But you know, that's just where the market went for a couple of years. starting to come out of it now. I'm starting to see the prices kind of level out in our area on these older houses. So
Hmm.
once the interest rates come down, you could probably start buying some houses to flip again, depending on how the market goes. We'll see.
Man,
I don't pay not a lot of attention to it, so
I
I just go
remember
off of the builders.
when everything took a shit, like, I don't know, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
that big dump out. There were guys that we were working with that were driving down to Florida to buy one get one truck. You know what I mean? And like
Damn. Yeah.
they were buying like property down in like
Wow.
Florida and in the South, and they were just giving shit away because like once everybody defaults,
Yeah.
it's just a million houses out there, and the bank doesn't
Oh
give a
yeah.
shit. They just
That's gonna
want to,
happen again too.
yeah. I
That's probably gonna be when I get an upgrade.
I
Honestly.
when I take a look at what's going on up here, when everything goes to shit up here, foreign investors and people coming into the country are going to snatch it all up.
Oh
I
yeah. It's already
my
starting, honestly. It
Oh
seems like
yeah.
it. I get random letters all the time, just people wanting to buy my house from out of state. It's
Like,
like, where the
hey,
hell did this come from?
do you like where you live? Because we
Mm.
like where you live.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
The guy that I rent off has a big house, had a big house down the road.
Yeah.
He had two duplexes, like top and basement, different
Yep.
apartments, and then he had like a full house, which was his first house. And when he went to sell it, they paid him like $100,000 over asking cash,
Yep. Jeez.
sight unseen.
Yeah.
Like they didn't
That's
even
insane.
come and look. And the reason that he was getting rid of it is because there's an apartment building next door to it, and it is fucking ghetto.
Oh, really?
Like they're like selling drugs off of their balcony and stuff.
Yeah.
And his tenants were always complaining. He's like, you know what? If you don't like it, I'll sell it. Like
Yeah.
you're not doing me any favors.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
but when we were talking about, like, I did all of his like patchwork and silly stuff that needed to be done before he sold it. So I was there quite a
Yep.
bit. So then when he sold it, man, he was like, dude, you'll never believe what just happened. And I think it's happening more and more now because
Yeah.
it's free money, right? Especially if you're renting it,
Yeah.
you get a building manager and they fucking do all the
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the way to do it too. I mean, especially if you're gonna have a lot of rentals.
Yes.
Why would you want to deal with that constant headache? It's one of the guys we do a lot of work for. That's what he does. He just buys huge properties, subdivides it, throws up anything, a bunch of specs and a bunch of apartments, and then the apartments just go off to a property management company, and he just gets the check at the back end of it. It's just, but he started, that particular guy started actually. I think I sent you that Snapchat of the building the trusses blew off. Did I
Yes.
send you that?
Oh,
It's that guy. Yeah, that's wild. But yeah, he started out real young, bought a place when him and his wife were just dating, and they bought it, lived in it, rented it, and paid it off while they were living in it, and then flipped it for like a ton of money after they got it all renovated. And that's how he got started. He's just
right.
been doing it for 15, 20 years at this point. Some of us weren't smart enough to start it like that,
Hey
but
man, my
that's one of the
dad,
ones.
well, yeah, yeah, exactly. My dad got into this like it was a builder kind of, but the turnaround for the investment was unbelievable.
Yes,
And
yeah,
this started as these kids in university were like, I'm not giving somebody $1,000 a month to
right.
rent a shitty room somewhere. Me and
Yep.
three buddies are going to go in on a house. So then
Yeah.
when they graduated, they kept the house and started renting it out. And they were like,
Smart.
oh,
There's a lot of
there's a
money here.
lot of fucking money in here.
Yeah.
So they've gotten to the point now where they have, well, that's the condo building my parents live in, but there's three buildings on the property that are
Jeez.
condo buildings, like they're six
Yeah.
floors. And like,
Holy
because it just exponentially grows, right? Like if your
man.
bills are,
Yeah.
let's say, 5 grand, but now you're bringing in 20 grand a month,
Right. Well,
just
that's the
dub.
whole rich dad, poor dad, right?
Yeah.
You gotta be in debt to make money to have that, but the debt's covered.
Yeah. You have liquid debt, I would call it, but you have assets or whatever you would
Right.
set,
You have
call
more in
that.
assets than you have in debt.
Correct. So yeah,
But
like
you
if
have
you
to get to that point. I mean, that's a lot.
what
That's a daunting thing to get into.
what an ass puckering up moment that would be, where you're just
Oh
like,
my God.
I guess another quarter million, another half million. And then you're like, at some point, this is going to start making money. And then you're like,
Oh
I'm so fucked.
yeah, better
Like,
start making money soon.
yeah, dude, that'd be scary shit, man.
I don't know. I don't know enough about that side of real
No,
estate
same.
to say a lot about it, but just know, talking to the people that I know and do work for, and one of the guys that we do a lot of work for started a roofing franchise. Well, not a franchise. He was going to buy into a franchise,
Okay.
and then he went and met with them, and he's like, "Why would I buy into their franchise if I can just go?" Because he went to Michigan to meet with these guys, and he came back and he's like, "I'm just going to talk to some banks and." The whole deal is that they finance the roof, so that's their whole stick. And he just talked to a few banks, got a couple on board to finance having your
Mhm.
roof redone, and started his own franchise basically, or his own company, and just hires a bunch of subs to come up and hammer your roof out, and he just collects the end. And I mean, 3 years in, and he is making so much money. It's just sickening. And it was such a smart idea, and he did it right at the perfect time.
I
But
mean, if you look at like up here, it's called Easy Home.
yep.
And effectively, like you walk in there and you need like couches or a TV or whatever. They're like, yeah,
Hmm.
man, for 30 bucks a week, you can have whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And when you're going to pay twice for what the thing is, but you don't give a
Oh
fuck.
yeah.
Like
No.
you're paying your 10 or 20 bucks a week for all the little things that you
Yeah.
want. But they probably quadruple,
Oh yeah.
what everything is worth.
Yep.
Doing that with work, man, if I could be like, I could finish this house really well for you, and you could just pay
Yeah.
me $400 a month or something for
Yeah. Yeah.
like nobody would turn that down because they're like,
No.
fuck yeah, I don't want to come up
Yeah.
with 10 grand. Like they'll,
No. Well, it's supply and demand, and you're preying on the weak, the ones that need it, and it's just taking it's just
that's tough. Yeah.
typical. It's sales. That's all it is. I've never been a salesman
Yeah, I
ever,
mean, when it's your roof too, you're right.
and
Because
that's a
it's
big job. And it's
yeah.
and it's something that you got to do it right, or you're going to ruin a lot more than just that roof.
Oh, or you're
And
going to be back there in the same position you're in 5 years
right,
again or
right,
whatever,
yeah,
right? Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Thousands of dollars that you're going to have to spend again. And yeah, these guys give you a warranty. Are they going to go good for it? That's the big thing. Why not just go with a reputable company that will do it right?
Right.
I don't know. That's an iffy one.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. I don't know. Not much
Um,
of a roofing guy.
I've got a note. Yeah, I'm definitely not a roofing guy either. Flat roofs, I fully understand.
Well, great. Walkable, I'm fine with that. You get those steep pitches, I'm good.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm good.
I mean like flat. Like
Oh yeah, commercial roofs,
yeah.
rubber
Uh
roof.
I fully understand that and the membrane and like all the things because I had to like double check it. But like
Yeah,
if you ask me about like regular roofs, I'd be like, I don't know, dude,
yeah,
it's plywood.
yeah,
And then somebody comes in and does
yeah,
what I don't know how to do. It's
yeah.
okay, you said Dana White's ceiling flood, and I wrote it down.
Oh yeah. So uh, that's what spawned this whole renovation on the house, apparently. So I asked the foreman over there. I'm like, I don't even know how we got on the topic, but he was like, "Yeah, that's the whole reason this started was because the last time he was here, he only comes up like a week or two a year, and it was on the 4th, right around the 4th of July, and his buddy went upstairs and was hammered and like threw up in the sink in the bathroom, was trying to
Oh,
rinse the puke down the drain, and then apparently like went and passed out, or I don't know what happened, but he ended up flooding the whole second floor, and it was running down into the first floor, while the contractor had just finished renovating or redoing the two bathrooms on the main floor, just finished them, and
nice.
one of them had water pouring through the ceiling a day after they finished it, and Dana showed up. So Dana called the the builder in the middle of the night at like 2 in the morning. He's like, "Hey, I got water rushing through my bathroom ceiling on the first floor." And of course, he's thinking, "Oh God, did the plumber not crimp something, or what the hell happened?" So he flies over
It's
there.
this
No,
drunk
his dumb
buddy.
friend was upstairs, hammered, threw up in the sink, and clogged it and left the water running. But then Dana was like, "Well, my wife's wanted to redo the house. I've been wanting to redo the house. Redo the house. You got a year." He basically said, "I'll be back next 4th of July. It's got to be done by then." So that was when we had the first conversation about doing it. But I didn't know anything about like why it happened, like how any of this started.
That's so
But
hilarious.
just your drunk friend spawned a whole gut of your house. But you saw
And
that
you,
massive safe in there too.
dude, that's like
That is
a
it's huge. And it's deep. It's deep, deep. It's a cool
that's where you
place.
got to keep the gold bars, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. And your guns.
That's where he keeps all the teeth that get knocked out in the UFC.
Yeah, all the CTE scans of all the guys that have left the UFC and died.
Oh my God,
Yeah, I don't understand how they can do that slap competition shit with how
dude.
crazy CTE is becoming. And like, I mean, if anything's gonna give you CTE, it's getting slapped across the face by a farm boy.
It's like
Like,
being hit with a baseball bat. Like,
dude, oh my God. I don't know. One of those guys is the whole side of his face just exploded out and he was still taking slaps. Like, there's nothing safe about this. That guy's not
no.
gonna be right after that. But hey, you found another way to make money off of it.
Hey man, I mean, is that Dana White that's doing that? The
Yeah,
slap thing?
yeah,
Oh
yeah. I
my
can't remember
God.
what do they call it? Slap champ or something like that.
Who
It's just a
cares?
slapping. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just insane. I mean,
I
holy crap.
I do love watching it. And then they gotta like hold the table. And then you're
Yeah, and
not
then they
allowed to
start to
fall down.
shake when the guy comes
But if
back.
you like end up like this, as long as you hold onto the
Oh,
table.
some of them just starch and they just go backwards.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, I would bear to think if I were to like full out like twist my hips and slap someone in the face, it would be about as much or more pressure
It's
than punching
deadly.
them.
Yeah, that's deadly.
Because
Especially
like
like you're a big guy. There's a lot of yeah, yeah.
big
See, I have
palms,
little
bro.
baby hands. I got my
Yeah.
mom's hands.
No, I got tennis racket fucking slap hands.
Yeah.
You'd be brain dead so quick from doing
Oh
that.
God. Well, that's like some of those guys in there. They're just like mountain men, They've got bananas for fingers.
They the one guy that I saw doing that's like this little guy covered in tats. He's got like the fucking
Oh,
eye
the
injections,
oh
so
yeah,
they're black, and he gets
he gets
slapped
rocked.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the ones that just go limp and just slouch over the table. They're like, yeah, you're done.
It's
Get
just
out of
that
here.
like
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah. The slow-mos are crazy. You can see like their whole jaw just
oh
like
yeah.
unhinged, just slide over. It's like, oh, TMJ forever.
You could literally see them go to a different planet for a second,
Yeah,
just like
yeah, yeah,
slapped off the earth.
yeah. They get reset.
Yeah, reset it. Yeah. That's what I want to see now is somebody make a video of that with that like
Yeah,
from the old like Windows.
yeah. The
You're
power
welcome.
down.
You're welcome, whoever makes that. It's going to do
Yeah,
very well on the internet. Yeah, dude, dope. Oh, I'm so excited to get you back on here. I feel like we've been trying for a bit and then just like I'm so
yeah.
fucking busy and you like
Oh my
it's,
God.
so when you were like, oh, go, 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 or whatever, I don't think every time I talk to you is go, go, go. Like
Yeah, we
you are.
haven't. We just go nonstop.
Yeah,
I don't have a day in between jobs except from the weekends. That's about it. It's which is fine. That's how I want it to be, And
totally. Yeah,
I'm good at managing my time on the jobs, and that's how we get them done. It's this go and have a system and just follow it, and don't stray from it. Because if you start
yeah,
getting ahead of your system, you'll be backing up. So that's all we
right.
try to do. The hard part's like because my cousin's he's been finishing way longer than me, like 15, 16 years. I've only been doing this 6, 7 years, and just
Really? Okay.
yeah, yeah. I started in 2016, 2017, but I didn't go full time until about 5 years ago. But I mean, once you start doing it every day, 6 months, I mean, it's no different than any other trade. It's just the more you do it, the better you get, and the more you understand it. But that was once I got my own system down and my
Yes.
uncle was like, all right, you can start taking your own houses. That's when I was like, all right, time to friggin' really grit my teeth and figure this out. I would just get my own, kind of routine. And once I got it figured out, I mean, a 10,000 board foot house, I can 7 days in and out. That's 2 days to tape it, get it to a first coat, a day to second coat, 2 days to skim, 2 days to sand and clean up. And it's just, every one of them's just like that. But
I like that 2 days to sand and clean up.
yeah, you don't want to rush sanding because
No.
I touch up as I go while I'm sanding. I mark once I go through a room, I just stop. I already have my tinted mud right there, hit it, and then don't think about it.
Bang,
And then
bang,
if you're
bang.
lucky, you can sand your touch up before you leave. If not, sand it the next day, clean the floors, get out of there.
Yeah, but like the quality that you're pulling, your touch-ups aren't big, huge fucking issues. They're like, oh,
No,
I don't really like the look of that. And you hit it with some mud and it's like
yeah,
this much and you draw it. It dries
yeah.
almost, within an
It's
hour.
yeah, it's usually minor stuff like a hollow screw or
Yeah.
like not that we're not I'm not perfect, dude. Like we get scratches in the mud all the time. If you're in a dark room, you're not dragging a light around, you're gonna have it. Or like a worn blade on your box, you're gonna have an edge somewhere that needs to be feathered out a little, anything like that. Angles sometimes, but we try to make a point of like angles after a tape coat. Once we get into like second coat, sometimes second coat needs a day to dry. So that
Yeah.
day in between, get on your stilts and start checking angles. Any holidays, fill those in. Any check your screws over. Little all that little stuff adds up. Do you all your point up, tie everything together if it needs it,
Hmm.
because that's really what needs to be done to keep your sanding really nice. I
Yeah.
think personally.
I mean, I've learned a lot of things from working with people this year, but working with Steve,
Hmm.
like from Whitby, um, there's a lot of things like that where it's like he does his tie-ins after box runs at the end of the day. It takes like
Yeah,
20 minutes, like it takes like
yeah.
an hour.
Yeah,
And
what
that,
and it's already like kind of set up so you can work over it. You're
yeah,
not gonna
it's
dig
just
into your
a
mud.
like a quick
Yep.
up,
Quick
down,
up and down.
next.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and it's those little things where you're like, man, this is like way faster now.
Yeah. And it makes sanding predictable. That's the whole thing with me is when I run across the wall with a power sander, everything needs to sand the same. And it doesn't take much to make it that way. Sometimes you're gonna have a shitty wall that's got a heavy curve in it or something, but I still just skim my flats with a 12-inch. I don't have any problems. I've never had a wall flash, even, high visibility walls, a ton of daylight. If I question it, I'll trowel it, but 9 times out of 10, I can get away with skimming everything with a box. Aside, not everything, flats and butts, I can get away with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But framing's been pretty good. We had a rough period through COVID when the lumber was really bad, and I was troweling a lot of my finish coat, and made it really nice once the framing seemed to get a little better and I could just hang on to the box. That's been nice.
These fucking Zins.
I love those things.
I was
I'm
gonna ask you.
addicted to them.
I was gonna ask
When I
you.
saw you pop that in, I was like, oh, I should run out to my truck real quick. But now I don't need to be doing that.
We
Those get me
can
through my day.
take a little fucking break.
Oh,
They're pretty dope. Yeah, I fucking snuck one to Nate at the end of the day, and he's like,
yeah.
dude, this is awesome.
It's the best. It's the best. And you don't have that friggin' fiberglass chewing into your lip.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, like
It's
it's just
great.
I think it's just like your saliva is just like mixing with that shit, and
Yeah.
you can swallow it because it's
Yeah.
not
I mean, it's
tobacco.
right.
Yeah,
All it is like Nicorette gum. It's the same thing. It's just the
yeah.
salt's in a pouch. But my wife would disagree how good it is.
Uh, yeah, that's probably not good for our brains. But I mean, nicotine's not
Yeah.
bad for you. Like
Yeah.
I always smoked at work. And for a
Yeah.
long time, I didn't. When I had my son, I quit smoking because I was just like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just not going to be that dad that smells like cigarettes when he's holding his baby.
Yeah. I
And
understand that.
the first foreman job I took, I was the foreman of like fucking crews on a large like condo building, and
Yep.
I was fucking stressed out. And
Yeah.
then people were having meetings outside while having cigarettes, and I'm inside like I'm not smoking. I'm not doing
Yeah.
what I want to do. I'm not taking breaks. So I
Yeah.
was like, fuck it. I'm gonna have a few smokes, man. And then
Yeah.
it picked up again. But when they took our menthols away up here, I quit Um,
They just did that here.
yeah, they did that a
It,
long time ago, man.
anything flavored, but it's town for town. Like it's up to the town to decide that, which is really weird. I don't understand at least a menthol thing. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I mean, if a kid's gonna smoke cigarettes, it doesn't
They're gonna
fucking
smoke.
matter. Oh, menthol's mint.
Yeah.
Like, well,
They'll just order
people.
from China now. I mean, that's what kids do. They just get everything online. Doesn't matter.
I was going to the Indian Reserve, and a carton of cigarettes was $20. Like it was like the 50s again, and I was like, "This is
Holy
dope."
crap. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
so a carton of cigarettes, $20, and like if you had a couple puffs off it and threw it in the garbage, you didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody asked you for a smoke, you just gave them a pack. Like it
Yeah.
just that it was very easy.
Yeah.
And then when COVID happened, the Indian Reserve got kind of fucking,
Oh yeah.
what are you doing here? And I just never went back. So I went to a gas station, picked up a pack of like Demorier or something like that. Had my first one, was like, this tastes like shit.
Yeah.
And I just stopped. I just quit. I've always been good, man. I just stopped buying them and I'm good.
Yeah. That's good to just cut
It's
out cold turkey.
very rare.
My I I I never was a big smoker aside from like partying. That was usually the only time. It was just a social thing. But my old man's his lungs are shot from smoking.
Yep.
He's got end stage COPD and emphysema, so really really
Jesus.
wore him out. It's not good. And he's been smoking since he was well, he doesn't now, but he'd been smoking since he's like 14. And
Wow.
just and he's a more of a rebel too. So there's other things I'm sure that took a toll on him, but just seeing that it's
Yeah, I'm
couldn't
good.
couldn't do it every day, not at all. I had one thing to have a cigarette once in a while, but even now, like my cousin smokes, and like I said, saying that snap the other day, 9:30, he's had 3 cigarettes already. I'm like, holy cow, man, that must really get the blood pumping. You just gotta have every 20 minutes. Like I couldn't do it. Like I'm just going nonstop. I couldn't breathe if I was smoking that much, especially doing what we do. Drywall's pretty fast paced. You're running around all day.
Yeah.
I don't really stop. That's my whole thing. If I lose my momentum, I'm done. So I just go until I run out of energy, basically.
Yeah.
But that's also, I only have a finite amount of time. Why I have to leave by a certain time to pick my kids up, so I gotta try to get all my work in while I can. So
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I always kind of loved about your situation is that you're kind of a dad first.
yeah, it gotta be. Just like
Y-
today, like it wasn't
Yeah.
even a question. Last night, like they sent us the message. We have an app that, all the parents could talk through all the faculty there, and they sent
Yeah.
us a message. Hey, so many of the staff are out sick, and by law, you got to have. I think it's like one adult per 5 or 6 kids, and once you
Yeah.
drop below that, you can't open. So we knew coming into today. And my mother-in-law said, "Oh, I'm not feeling great, but if I feel better tomorrow, I'll watch her." Well, she felt worse this morning, so I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, well, it is
Bummer.
what it is." And like back when I worked for the car dealership, I used to work for the Chevy dealership or the Hyundai dealership back then, but that wouldn't fly if I didn't have PTO saved up. And like this winter, God, I've taken weeks off just
Right.
between everybody getting sick, myself getting sick. I just had COVID a few weeks ago. That took me out for 4 days.
Hmm.
Luckily, it was like a Thursday, Friday, and then I had the weekend. But they wouldn't have been cool with that. They'd have been like, I probably would have got written up. But that's the beauty of being your own boss. Your schedule kind of works around you, which is nice to a point. Obviously, you're still held to your timelines, but as long as you can get the job done, what difference does it make?
Yeah, man. I mean, you're in control of all of that, and you understand, right? If you know that you
Yeah,
missed a day, you know exactly what you need to do to catch up, or
yeah,
we're just going to take a longer
right.
time.
Oh
It's
yeah,
one or the other.
absolutely. Well, that's like tomorrow. Tomorrow was going to be a half day. Now I know I'll be working all day, and I'm going to be there early,
Yeah.
and I'm going to finish up the second coating I didn't get done today, and then start skimming downstairs, so I could still run angles by Tuesday, hopefully, or maybe even Monday afternoon I can run angles. So, but that's just the game of drywall. You got to have a good plan and just a good routine.
And Nate does that. He picks his kids up at 5 every day.
Yep.
It's just
Yep.
he's like, why? Like I work today.
Yeah.
I put my
Yeah.
hours in.
Absolutely. And like I work weekends here and there, like just for extra money, and it's always good money, but is it really worth it? you know,
Well, and that's it,
one
man.
side
Like,
job pays for vacation, yeah, it's great, but I also just lost a month worth of weekends to go for 4 days, you
yeah,
know.
and I mean, you lose that month of weekends, but then you get to take your family somewhere for a week or whatever. Like,
Right.
I see how that plays out. That first
Yeah.
year that I had my own, like when I dove in the pool, I was
Yeah.
just swimming my ass off. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I missed so much time with my daughter.
Yeah.
Like
That's
like
hard.
she just was like two so quick, and I was
Yeah.
just like, man. But what do you do, right? Like she's gonna need stuff. Like it's
That's
especially
you
with the
can't
way the fucking world's going right now, dude.
you can't stop. You just can't because if you do, it just snowballs.
Well, and
Shit adds up so fast.
especially that her mom and I aren't together, like those like little shitty comments. It is what it is,
Yeah.
but you have to bear that burden, right?
Yeah.
Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, somebody's got to pay for all this shit. And like when she wants to go to university or whatever she wants to do, if
Yeah.
a regular salary is not going to cover that, man. It's just
No.
not going to, right? And you got to make your decisions and live with them. But like
Yeah.
what I would like to do is you know, I keep saying this that my 30s are for grinding and my 40s are for building a business. And then by the
Yeah.
time that I'm 50, I'd like to have a business that's somewhat running itself. And then when my kids have kids, I've got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Like
I
my
think that's
nanny
a
was like
great
that.
plan. I
Yeah,
think that's a
solid
great way to
plan.
look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think because you're right, like your 30s are when you're running towards the end of your energy, right? You've still got it in you to really push yourself to the point where you can do a lot and not kill yourself too much. But I'm only 33. My body hurts every day.
Bro.
My uncle is 57. He's been pushing a trial since he was 17 years old. You
Yeah.
you want to talk about pain? And he was in a head-on car accident when I was 7 years old, hit head on at 60 miles an hour, ripped his eye out of his socket, he had a compound fractures in his femur.
Whoa.
Like he is beat up, dude. And still works circles around young guys. I mean, literally. That's why
Yeah.
we work together, dude. I mean, he's a big guy too, and he can code out 200 sheets a day just like me and not even question it. And but that's what it takes, dude. There's only one way to make money drywalling. It's to be efficient, you
Yeah.
know. And anybody that wants to get into it, that's if you can't do a certain amount of work in a day, you're not going to make any money. You're just going to make a paycheck. You're not going to get ahead. You're just going to get by. You have to really like grind,
Yeah.
for a few years, get your
Oh
name
yeah.
out there, establish your own reputation. Then the good money will come eventually.
That's
But
what that first 2 years was for me, man. Is just like I don't fuck people over, period. Like,
right.
and just like getting that into everybody's head by doing
Hmm.
stupid sites that don't make any fucking money and
Yeah.
like all this other kind of shit.
Yeah. And be genuine and be a man of your word too, or a woman. You
Yeah.
tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. And if you can't
Yeah.
be there, get on the phone and tell them. Don't
Yeah.
make excuses because all lying and, over promising, all that does is just
Yeah.
make you look like an asshole.
Well,
And
and it's the fucking truth though, too. Like
it
you
is.
are an asshole.
You are an asshole.
If you're not fucking doing what you say you're gonna do and telling me you're gonna and all this shit, like
Yeah.
it does not even just me, but I mean everybody.
Everybody,
It
everybody. Don't
it
overpromise. Don't oversell
yeah.
yourself because the truth comes out really, really fast. We just dealt with this yesterday with our hanger. He's
Yeah.
notorious for telling a contractor, "I'll be there tomorrow. Be there tomorrow." Three days in a row of doing this, and then he'll show up, throw the ceilings up, and leave for a week, and go to another job where he's making more money. It's like, dude, I get it. You might make more money on that job, but you started it, you own it, get it done. Because
Words.
we are right on your heels and we're gonna have it. We need it taped by a certain time, and did it to us yesterday. We're like, hey, because we have another one ready to go.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be hung this week because I'm gonna start it next week. And we're like, how you doing? He goes, I'll have second floor or first floor is almost done. My uncle Randy's standing there. He goes, good. Well, I'm headed over to give him a
Hmm.
takeoff right now. He goes, oh, well, I mean, the lids are up. We're like, okay, so you're not even
Yeah.
close to ready. Just say it. You don't have to lie. We don't care. Just tell us.
Yeah. I
I'll have
don't
more respect for
care.
you if you just tell me you're not done. I don't
Yeah.
care. But when you tell us it's going to be ready at this point, and then we tell the contractor that, and then it's not. That's where the problem comes, and it makes whoever vouched for you look like an asshole.
Well, because 30 minutes after that border's done, you're the
Hmm.
asshole.
Right. Oh,
What
immediately.
what the fuck is taking so long? You're like, I just got here. And
Yeah,
they're like, we don't
exactly.
give a fuck when you got here.
Yeah.
Like it needs to be done tomorrow.
Yeah. And
And
everybody's behind schedule and they think the drywall is going to catch them up. I've never understood that mentality.
no.
Every single time.
And these fucking people that are like, I quoted $2 and I want to get borders in there for 30 cents, so I can make a little money. Those
Right.
borders fucking suck. And
Yep.
they're gonna come in and fuck everything up, and then your taper comes in at his regular price or whatever, but you're
Yep.
still gonna make your money at the end. But that
Yep.
you just fucked the taper, man. Like it's
Yeah,
gonna
you
take
did.
another full day of fixing before you can even get
Yes.
started.
Yes. And that adds up.
Yeah,
It
if you're
really
lucky.
does. If
Yeah,
you're lucky. We just did this on Dana's place. One of the worst hang jobs we've had in a very long time, and it didn't even make sense. And that was the whole problem with this job was, yeah, there's some crooked spots. It's an older place. It's 30
totally.
years old, but we've done worse. And you've hung tighter rock on worse jobs.
And I mean,
So
like,
what's the
this is
problem?
new, and that is new, and this is new, and that. So, like, where
Dude,
things all tie into
whole
each other.
rooms are new. It's like, come on, man. Like
Yeah,
we had one wall in particular. It was in a bathroom, and only went the wall itself was like 16 feet, and it only had to go 10 and stop so they could hang the concrete board. That
right.
one was crooked in the corner. How the hell do you make that not even crooked, a gap? Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah,
You got a doorway that's 5 feet wide, 6 feet wide, and a butt joint over the door. Why is there a butt joint there?
yeah. That's five
You
feet,
got a
bud.
10-foot wide wall. There's four butt joints on this wall. Why is there? And there's a stack of sheetrock sitting there. You guys get paid by the sheet. Why aren't you using the sheets? You're trying to like use scrap. I didn't make any. It just didn't. It was like they were high hanging the sheetrock.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know guys that get high and hang sheetrock, and they're pretty
Well, this
good.
is a different high, like
Yeah. Oh,
high.
good call.
Yeah,
Good call.
you know.
I had this conversation with Chad when I went down there because he kind of like filled me in on that. Like, every sheet you cut, right, is
That's a sheet.
another
It's a
X
sheet.
amount, right?
Yeah.
So why would you ever use scrap? Because his big
No.
thing is the closets. The closets
Yes.
out there
Stand
are
them
all
up.
fucking. Why would you not stand
Why
them up?
would you stand them up? I don't get that. Anything under 4 feet, stand the sheet up. Any
Yeah,
4 feet wide, just stand it up. It
yeah,
doesn't make any sense, and it saves so much. Saves everybody time. Saves you time. The hanger,
dude.
especially in closets.
I had new boarders come. We've been trying to work together for a while, and they stood up the sheets in a bathroom and closet.
Yep.
And like actually all of the closets, there are bands in them, but like all the other pieces are full.
Yep.
Um, and dude, doing stand-ups,
Mm.
do your little squat from the bottom
Whoops.
and pull down from the top, and you're done,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Done.
okay.
And
And
it
and
eliminates so many seams in that bathroom too.
yeah, dude,
So
I
many.
the site super even said that. He's like, yeah, they stood the sheets in here. I've never seen that before. And I just kind of smirked at him. He's like, you like that, don't you? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, there's no fucking butt joints in here. This is
Yeah.
dope.
We had a guy that he hung a few jobs for us, and he's also a finisher. And one thing that he did that I really liked was anywhere there was a kitchen, he would start with a 2 foot rip, full sheet, 2 foot rip. So the outlets are inside a full sheet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I get that.
So the
I get
seams are
that.
hidden behind cabinets. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. Now you don't have a bunch of boxes to float around. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got a 6 foot and a 2 foot seam, but so what? I'm like, that's a huge pain in the ass going around boxes,
yeah,
especially it's always in the kitchen area, it's right at that 4 foot line. Like that's a great idea. Little things, but he was also a guy that would stand the sheets up because he's a
yeah,
finisher. He knows you eliminate the seams, it just makes everybody's life easier.
yeah,
But most of those guys don't finish, they just hang.
yeah. I'm so good at that cough button.
Dude, I don't. Mine's right here.
That's okay. You don't need to. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fucking borders out there, man. And I mean, the cheap ones, even so, I think a lot of these people are learning on commercial.
Yes,
where
definitely.
everything is steel, everything is straight,
Yeah.
everything is bang on, and you know how to just make the wall white. But that doesn't mean you know how to fucking
Yep.
board drywall, right? Like, and
No,
it's
definitely.
100 feet long, so you just
Yep.
like
It's
you
like a
just
puzzle, basically. You just snapping
yeah,
them together.
exactly, right? And then you put a 4 foot piece first instead of a 12 foot or whatever the fuck you're gonna
Yep.
do. And that's how you do big walls. And then they come into residential where in my opinion, you got no fucking place. There's no reason for you to be there because you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
And you've got crazy butt joints because you don't know how to check things. And you got big
Yep.
hooks in walls because you don't know how to shim and like,
Yep.
right? You got to do your job. But I
Oh
think
yeah.
they just go, I'm a drywaller. It's like, well,
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah. There's a big difference. I mean, the guy that hangs our rock, he's a perfect example of that. He's a great guy and he does good. He's a really phenomenal hanger when he's
Yeah.
on. Sometimes he has his moments like this job was not his best work,
Yeah.
hands down, and he knew it and he was ashamed. He was
Shit
just trying to
happens
get in
too,
and get
man.
it. Well, it does, and
Yeah.
we get wound up. You see it all the time when you do this every day. And it's
Hmm.
like at some point you have to hold these guys accountable. It's like you do this every day. This at some point you've got to, hold the hand over the fire and say, what the hell?
Yeah.
But he's like a career hanger. That's what he's
Hmm.
done for 25, 30 years. He
You should be
started
a
with a
rock
local company
star.
up here. He can when him and a good helper are in there, they're easy 100 sheets a day. And just throw them up and it's tight and it looks awesome. Him and this other guy, older guy, Larry, everybody calls him Scary Larry. He's just an old
Ah.
timer, old gray beard that's been hanging sheetrock forever.
Yeah.
He's a finisher too, but those guys hung a house for us down here in this place called Lake Green Lake. It was 240 sheets and they hung it in 2 days. Two
Scary
guys.
Larry. That's
Yeah.
fucking
And
hilarious.
dude, you want to talk about phenomenal hanging though. 200 sheets, just two guys threw it up in 2 days, had it screwed off, and we taped it out. And it was like tight, perfect, no blowouts, no boxes blown out. It's like that's a professional hanging job right there. Minimal prep. Didn't cram anything. Couple butt joints. It's like, God, guys, do that every time.
I talk about I'm finding that I talk about things over and over again because like I'm just having a conversation with you, but like the people that are
Yep.
listening probably fucking hate hearing it. But
Yeah.
that place that I did over Christmas, man, 6,500 board feet. There was like 10
Yep.
butt joints, maybe 13 butt joints.
Oh, that's so nice.
It was fucking dope, bro.
Yeah, that's so
Uh,
nice. If you
and
just
there's
pay attention to layout, it makes a big difference.
Well, and these were finishers. They wanted to
Yeah.
finish it, but it was my buddy's place, and he's like, "Nah, I got a guy," and it helped me out too because I got a bunch of content. Like,
Yeah. That's awesome.
yeah, it was good. But man, a good board job.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
Yeah. The this next one that we're getting ready to start after Dana's place, the that particular builder is very anal about butt joints. He does not like breaking them over windows or doors.
Yep.
So it just increases the amount of butts in that house quite a bit.
Oh, because
It
he doesn't
limits
want
where
them
you can
there.
break the sheets. Yeah, so you're gonna break them, in the wall. And I understand it. I honestly, in the I've been doing it full time 6 years, almost 7 years. I've never had a butt crack over a window or a door
I'm
ever.
shocked that you've been only doing this for 6 years.
Yeah, I've been around it I'm a third generation finisher,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay,
But
okay.
I mean, I've been around it for longer than that, but like
Yeah,
physically doing it. But even still, yeah. I started full time in 2019, 2019, late 2018, early 2019.
yeah. We
But I
just
was
kind of jumped
paying,
into this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just saying, well, I left because I worked for a local car dealership up here for like 7 years.
A
And
fucking
then,
car salesman. I couldn't see it.
yeah,
I
well, I
totally
wasn't selling
could not.
cars.
Okay,
I
all
wasn't selling
right.
cars. No, I started washing cars. And then I did I moved to service to as a service advisor and then I hated that job because it was like a salesman that just typical salesman just lie right to a
Yeah.
customer's face basically to sell shit and I hated it and I left that went back to landscaping and then I went to the Hyundai dealership for the same company. It was wholesale parts
Oh,
and
nice.
uh
Yeah.
and
That-
and for the tax, but I liked that job. I was good at it. I was there for 5 years and but it just didn't pay anything.
yeah.
And I was just happened to be on Craigslist one day and I saw a guy had a he was hiring for a laborer, just a contractor, but he's kind of like a GC, but he's more of a handyman,
Yep.
more or less. Like does a lot of groundwork and like hardscaping, but he also would do small reno jobs and shit in wintertime. And he was really the first one to introduce me physically to the trades. And I learned a lot from him, a lot of good things, a lot of wrong things that I kind of learned down the road, but it was more or less because he didn't have somebody to teach him the right way. And one of those was paint and drywall.
Yeah.
And not that he was bad at it, he never got taught, he
Yeah.
learned through like reading magazines,
Yeah.
literally,
It's
like
not your
everything
core
he
trade.
learned.
Yeah.
Right. But I got an offer after working for him for like a year and a half. My best friend was a paint contractor and he offered me a job and it was like a $3 or $4 raise. I'm like, hell yeah, like get me out of here. So I did that, worked for him for I don't know, a year and a half, I think, and he got me into patching and I had started to learn drywall with that contractor, but then I got was doing more of it working for my buddy,
Right.
and we did a whole house up in Millinocket, Maine, northern Maine, and that was like the first big job I was a part of, and I was just doing like closets, taping closet, low like bottom angles and coating screws, but I liked it, and I like it just kind of came kind of natural. I wasn't like I was doing good work, but
Yeah.
came kind of natural. Like I could run a knife and not make a mess. I could, run a nice angle, and after like a year and a half, my uncle reached out. He's like, I'm at this point where, and he was still hand finishing. He's like, and I probably told this story
You
before,
did. You did. Yeah. And then
but
and then he was like, those fucking machines don't make any sense. And then you
yeah,
started showing him the Instagram and he was fucking like hiding in that.
he's
He
like,
was
holy
looking at
shit.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, man, I'm pretty slick. I'm like, yeah, I know. Well, then his buddy showed us he had a set of level 5 flat boxes, which I actually ended up getting because his buddy actually ended up passing away, and we
Oh,
bought all his
bummer.
tools off his wife. Yeah, yeah, he had a tumor behind his eye, and he had like several brain tumors. It was horrible, but we ended up buying all his tools off his wife after he passed to help her out, and
Yeah.
I got a set of level 5 boxes, which were
A
not good.
mess. Yeah.
Yeah, not good. But they got me through. Did a bunch of jobs with them, and then just haven't looked back since then. Just been grinding, and I don't know. The auto tools they were tricky at first. I think the hardest part was we didn't have anybody there to help. You know what I mean? Tell us what we were doing wrong.
Yeah.
But that's where Instagram came in for sure. Brian and Phil and Brad, those guys definitely were huge in helping me learn how to use them. I'm pretty sure I said that before, but
Yep.
that's the only reason I even use Instagram for this is just to talk to people. And if I have an issue, even Aaron recently, I had an issue with my bazooka and I reached out to him and I ended up fixing it before he even got back to me when I gave more info. But just the fact that it was like within 3 minutes, he got back to me like, holy
Yeah.
crap, that's like damn good customer service right there. That in itself is worth buying the product just to have somebody there if you have a question. I don't get that with Tate Tech. Never
Well,
have.
and it's Aaron.
And it's
Like
Aaron, right?
he, he
Absolutely.
he's been putting these things together since he was a kid. Like
Yeah,
who else do you want to talk to about that kind of shit, right? Like
absolutely.
and even when you're putting it all together or whatever, it's not like on site you're running it every day and you kind of get it, but you are
Mhm.
hearing every single time that something's wrong and all the different
Right.
things you've done to fix it, and like
Yeah.
you just
And
know
he's
right
probably
away.
seen every situation too.
And that's
He's
where my head goes. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah. My situation was the one of the biscuits, the teeth wore out. So I
Yep.
flipped the wheel in the middle of the day because I was running ceilings and I only needed one side. So I'm like, oh, I'll be slick and just flip the wheel. Well, one side doesn't have the spot for the set screw, and I didn't even realize it.
Oh, for
It
fuck's sakes.
held for like one job, and then right towards the end of a job running angles, I had
Bleh.
two no, it just like I go zit and nothing would come out. I'm like, fuck. I could crank it by hand, it would pump out because I was, manually doing it,
Yeah.
but I couldn't figure it out. So I just ended up getting our other bazooka. But once I finally got it on another job, like 2 months later, I'm like, I gotta figure this out because I gotta have two. And just looked at it. I'm like, oh, it's spinning on the shaft. So I pulled it all apart. I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. I didn't even look at it when I flipped the header, when I flipped that wheel over. It only has like that spot for the set screw on one side. But just stupid things. You don't learn how to fix these things if you don't tear them apart once in a while. And they're there's a lot of little pieces on those tools that are, if you don't pay attention to where they come off from, you're screwed.
Well, and I mean, yeah, like Steve, just like you said, the pizza cutters, right?
Hmm.
He took that whole assembly apart and put it back together,
Yep.
and what a difference. But
Yeah.
like the amount of shit that comes out to then be put back, like you need to be
Yeah.
mechanically inclined if
Yeah.
you're
Take
gonna
pictures
start.
the whole way.
Well, yeah, dude.
They're but once you figure them out though, once you tear them apart once, you're pretty comfortable with it, you know. And you should be able to know how to work on them too, you know. Yeah, I could send it down to Tecate and have them go through the thing, but I also don't have a week and a half to wait to have it back if I need it.
Yeah, or you can get a basic understanding of it and be able to fix it on site. Like, and
That's the way to do it. Have
yeah,
parts on
man.
hand too. Like ones that you know might go bad, just have them on hand. These maintenance kits are so cheap.
Well, and I mean, I had a handle that I think this guy that I was on the site when I was working with that older guy,
Yep.
this guy kept coming down, he'd take my handle and he'd like play with it a little bit, and I think he was fucking just cranking on it to fuck it up.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if that's true or not, but like, so I went and got it fixed. And then same thing. Fucking, I see the guy like a week later, and then my handle's fucked again. So when I was out west,
The
I was,
fuck?
yeah, dude. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to apologize to this guy because I brought it up on the podcast so many times, and then there's a part of me that wants to fucking have one of those slap fights with
Just
him.
stroke him over the head with it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I have a
so,
slap fight.
so the reason that I'm bringing that up is because when I went to Surrey to go see Columbia the first time, I asked
Yep.
Aaron like, "Can I build a handle?" And he was like, "I guess." And
That's
I
smart.
yeah, so I from scratch built the handle,
Yep.
and all I was telling myself like was now I understand how the handle's built and how I'm never going to fix it myself. I'm just going to
Right.
have it, take it to CSR and have them do it because it's
Yep.
so complex. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, when they sent me the angle heads, I was so overwhelmed by it because like I had just been learning flushers for like
Yeah.
6 months. And then
Yep.
it was like the angle head, and I don't get things unless I kind of understand how it works. So I took the
Yeah.
whole fucking thing apart and I put it all back together.
Yep.
And I was like, now I understand.
Yep.
Um,
Those are tricky too. That is quite a piece of metal. Those and like doing the blades. The first time you do that, holy cow! It took me
dude.
forever trying to just line that tip up. So it just it took me forever.
Well,
I
and
need to
like
get in
lined it up when it's closed
when
because
it's
like
closed. Right.
you do it
Yeah.
the other way and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that looks right. Then you whoosh, no, it's wrong every time. The one thing we wear out on ours is that nose cone. We wear
Yeah.
right through them. It's so
Uh,
fast. We took the wheels
Um,
right off ours. I don't know, just seemed to run better without those little guide wheels. So we took them off, and I think that's why. I think it's putting a lot of pressure on that nose cone, but I need
yeah,
to
because
upgrade anyways.
I think with the wheels are holding it, and then the bar is holding it, like the
Yeah.
right. So when you take those
Yep.
wheels off, it's probably
It's leaning in. Yeah, it's like driving into that more. And I said that the other day. I'm like, we took those wheels off like 3 years ago for some stupid reason. I don't even know. I think actually one of them, the screw fell out. We couldn't find it, so we just took the other one off. I think that's what it was. But all
mhm.
uneducated, didn't really know what the hell the purpose of the wheels was. We just said,
Yeah.
just rip them off, keep running it, and never look back. But I got to get a new set. That's actually on my list. Is I want to get a throttle box and some new angle heads because I do like the idea of the throttle box.
What are you
So we
running
do
now?
a
Tape Deck's corner box.
tape deck, yeah, and it
Yeah.
works good, but like we do a lot of 10-foot stuff, a lot of 12-foot stuff, cathedrals, and pushing a box 10 feet. And I don't like boxing on stilts. I don't like doing anything on stilts if I can help it because I've fallen a couple of times. And luckily, I didn't have a tool in my like an expensive tool. I almost did drop my bazooka one day up doing 10 foot. And I was like, I just don't like the idea of this. There's so much money in my hands and or getting hurt. So I try to do everything I can off the floor.
I like how getting
And
hurt was second.
well, I got insurance.
Yeah,
I got insurance on the tools too, but it take longer to get those back.
that's right.
But it's just, I work running those tools on stilts has just always been sketchy to me. I'm just,
Oh,
yeah, I can work on stilts fine, but I'm not one of those guys that can run out kick a soccer ball, on them. I'm kind of, I
I'm
do
I-
all right.
I'm super excited to work with Danny Moody.
Oh,
Uh,
that is so cool that you guys got him on. That's
okay.
so sick.
Um, so a little fucking behind the scenes thing. Um, we asked a bunch of people and like, hey, you gonna come down while we're here and you do a day here and day there, and it just became way too many people so
Yeah,
quickly. So the
yeah,
group altogether was like, we're done. Like the doors are closed on this one kind of thing.
yep,
And then Danny's like, hey man, sure would be nice to and I'm doing a backflip because I watched Tough as Nails, man. Like I remember Danny from being like on fucking Tough as Nails.
yeah,
So when he was even like remote, when he messaged me, I like
yeah,
had a moment. And then you kind of talk to him, he's a cool guy or whatever. But
yeah,
that like I was like, I guess I'll ask the group. And then I had to be the dickhead that said, I guess we'll see.
yeah.
I talked to Aaron right away and he was just like, listen, dude, like I invited him fucking as soon as we heard about it. So I was like, good, he's in. That's dope.
That's awesome.
But for a minute there, I was just like, oh my God, is Danny Moody not coming to my fucking job that not my job, but like the job that
Yeah,
I'm going to? Cause like,
yeah,
if like John Travolta wanted to fucking or whatever, you know what I mean? Or
yeah,
like Nicolas Cage or whoever from like that I think's really
yeah.
cool.
Well, he's drywall
Um,
celebrity.
yeah, he was, yeah. And like crazy dude. It's
Yeah.
now that I've been following him a little closer on Instagram, like,
Oh, he's a beast.
what the
He was
fuck?
one of the first guys I saw like 4 or 5 years ago when I jumped on here. And there was two videos, one of him on stilts boxing, and then one of him running the bazooka, running angles. And I'm like, holy crap. That was like what kind of got me into wanting to do the auto tools. I'm like, I knew how long it took us to hand tape a house,
Yeah.
and watching these guys just sling tape like it was nothing. I'm
I
like, that's when I just started henpecking at my uncle. I'm like, dude, we got to do this. Got to do. You want to make some money? Let's do this.
I I mean, I don't know how big the fucking house was because I didn't want to get into it, so I didn't feel small. But he like posted on his stories the other day, okay, gonna start taping this house out, and then like
Yeah, yeah.
two
Two and a
hours
half hours
later was
later.
done. And I was fucking messaging him the whole time. Not
Oh,
the whole
really?
time, but like I
Yeah,
was bothering him while he was
yeah.
working. And like,
He's
so
picking his phone up in the middle of all that.
bro, that's what I'm saying. And like,
Yeah,
and
he's a
you're
beast.
rolling and flushing, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well, he's
and
drinking like a 12 pack of Mountain Dew while he's doing it too, so he's got plenty of energy.
American Mountain Dew apparently is a little
Yeah,
different.
real Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Yeah, they think that has cocaine in it.
Yeah,
I
good
don't know.
man. We got to get you out to one of these things, man. Or like
Someday,
host us, bro. Be a good
yeah,
host.
I know. I'd love to do something like that. I wish if I could get I just need to build something, I guess
Like
is
a
what I need to
big
do.
one.
Build like a quadplex and be like, bring down like 5 or 6 guys and let's do it.
Yeah,
Make it easy.
just build something, Josh.
Yeah,
Just
someday. Well,
I
we're
don't know.
talking about doing apartments at some point. So
Are you? That's
yeah,
exciting.
my uncle and I are. Yeah, the problem is finding land up here. It is ungodly expensive and it gets bought up very quickly. So you have to know somebody that has the land.
You
You have
need
to like
in.
personally know them and it's not on the market. And that's hard to do now because the big pieces of land out here are owned by some pretty heavy hitters. So you gotta have a way in and it's not easy. Or you're gonna spend 20 grand, 30 grand an acre. It's not even
You
worth it.
can't even
I
do
mean,
it. Yeah.
yeah, half acre lot in downtown Bangor is like 50 grand. It's insane.
Oh,
It's insane. I mean, you used to be able to buy it for $1,000 an acre when I was younger. Now you can't even get a mortgage for some of this land. It's insane.
uh, the little town that I grew up in. I talked to people that are like still there, like they didn't go anywhere.
Yep.
But they bought houses when they were like 25,
Yep.
right? Because whatever, and they own their house and it's worth like 5 times what they paid for it.
Yeah.
It's like, holy fuck, man. You could
Yeah.
and if you want to upgrade, you can, but a lot of the people are like, this is my home, dude. I'm super
That's
happy with it.
same. That's the exact situation where I mean, mine's not
Yeah,
worth
man.
that much, but I was 24 when we bought this place.
Yeah.
Wild thing is, I have an identical twin brother, We signed on our houses at the same day within an hour of each other.
No
And
way.
at the time, he was living with Sarah and I because we were renting a big farmhouse, and we both were at the same time like, you know what? It was a particular winter, and that old farmhouse was so just old and just gaps everywhere. You could put your hand up to the wall and feel the wind blow right through
Oh,
it. I
oh,
mean, we
okay.
went through like 1,200 gallons of heating oil that winter. So it was like every week we're throwing $300-400 worth of fuel in it. And it was just, and we didn't make that much money at the time. My brother and I were
Yeah.
working for the dealerships, and we were like, we got to do something. So Sarah and I like almost moved to Florida. We were like a month away from doing it. And they were like, nah, let's just buy a house. So we did. And when we told my brother, we're like, hey, just to give you a heads up, we're looking for a house. So when it happens, you're gonna have to either move out or pay the whole rent. So he's like, all right. And he went to the bank, and then within a month, we both had signed on a house in the same day, within an hour of each other, signed on them, and both moved out of that apartment and had houses at 24. And
That's
it
dope.
was at the time we didn't realize how smart it was because we bought it at the perfect time. The houses were like bottomed out price wise. The interest rate, we got a 3% interest rate, couldn't have been a better situation. And the house has just gone up in value since we've had it. Granted, it's nothing fancy, but gets the job done. We're a stone's throw from the local school, so
Yeah,
my
man.
kids can walk to school if we stay here that long. We're at the point now where we could just add on. We want to throw a garage on with the second floor, so God forbid if my mother needs a place to live down the road, she's got somewhere to go. But the ultimate goal is just to build the house. If I can ever afford some land out here, it's insane.
Yeah. And I mean, knock down to build, where do you live? And like,
Right. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, if we just held out long enough, I'd just knock this place down and put a house right here. And we didn't spend enough on it to really worry about it. And it's almost a 2 acre lot, so it wouldn't be horrible. But we sit right in a valley, so we get a ton of water in our backyard, and that's always a problem. We
right.
need a good drought. We haven't had one in a while.
Jesus.
If I could just dry it out long enough to get an excavator back there, I could divert some of this water, but I can't do it until it dries out. I haven't had, it's been like 3 years since I've been able to even really get out there.
Just
Take
a
the side
mud
by
pit.
side out there, and it's just a mud pit. Yeah, that's all it is. It's just rutted up. Kids love it. I love it.
No, totally. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
bonfires and side by side.
yeah. Yeah, you said something earlier that I thought was really interesting, where like you were working for somebody doing drywall, and then a buddy was like, "Hey, come here, I'll pay you $4 more or whatever."
Yeah.
That to me is the first time someone kind of pulls that curtain back and lets you see what's behind it a little bit,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
your tail's wagging and you're like, "Man, $4 more," and then eventually you find out what he's charging, and you're like,
Yes.
"Whoa."
That was I remember the day I learned what businesses charge, and it was way before that. I was
Same.
working for a local landscaping company, running a weed whacker, and my foreman told us because I think my brother and I each made like it wasn't much. It was like I want to say 760 an hour, something like that. We were
I rem
mowing lawns after school in high school, and it was $37 an hour per man on the job. That's how we build them. And I'm like, holy crap. And then I did the math in my head real quick. I'm like, oh my God, that's like a lot of money. And then same thing when my getting that info out of my buddy, because he's been doing this a lot longer. He started painting when he was 12 or 13, something like that. That's all he's done. He's very good at it. He knows a lot about it. And his partners, same deal. I mean, between the two of them, they got 50 years of experience painting. Some people would say painting's not a real trade, and I would say, you know, depends on how you look at it.
I
I get a
mean,
lot of respect for a good painter because you can ruin a really nice drywall job with a really bad paint job,
yeah.
or even a subpar paint job.
You know who I met this year? Chris Paint, like the
Oh yeah,
KRISS.
KRI. Yep, yep.
And I mean, he's a painter.
He's a painter. And
He's a
ZK, you ever see that guy?
no, no, no.
Oh, check that guy out. I want to say he's out of
Okay.
Massachusetts. His
CK.
main
Maybe,
guy.
maybe.
They use a lot of fine paints of Europe. Have you ever looked at that?
No.
Oh, check that stuff out. Man, those guys do some amazing paint jobs. But yeah, I follow Chris too. He's a phenomenal painter.
Dude, so I meet this guy. um, because of stickers or something stupid. And he comes by site, let's do our little sticker swap thing, gives me a hat. And
Nice.
then he sees the site that I'm in, and it's like a outbuilding, and it is like a fucking jungle in there.
Oh,
And
really?
well, it was just so like it has been um vapor barrier, like
Yeah.
not, it is just retaining everything. There's no
Yeah.
exhaust for anything. And he's like,
Oh,
oh
wow.
dude, I got this dope dehumidifier, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, there's nowhere we can run it to, man. He's like, nah, this one's got a wicked reservoir on it, you'll be good. And like fucked off and came back with a dehumidifier for me.
No shit.
It was
That's
crazy,
cool.
dude. It was
That's awesome.
crazy. And like I've kind of kept in touch with them a little bit. Like, but what I mean by that is like drywallers aren't shit either, quote unquote. But
Right.
go find someone that's not a drywaller to do the beadwork I did today. Go
Right.
do that. Go
Oh,
find me that
absolutely.
person.
Absolutely.
You got to find a carpenter.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's what it is. I mean, all you, I think it's, well, it's any trade really, but like drywall is one of those trades that you don't, especially a homeowner, that you don't think about the fact that like 70% of what you see in your finished product of your house is your drywall.
Yeah,
Just because it's painted over doesn't change the fact that if it was a bad drywall job, you would notice it. The fact that you don't notice it is a good sign in the quality of the finished product. You know what I mean?
100%.
And a bad bead job will definitely stand out big time, especially when you've got a lot of, the multiple intersections. Like I just did that one today or yesterday. It's typical dormer where you got no coat coming into an outside corner,
Yep.
or it's, two angles with the no coat coming at it. It takes a minute to line those up
Yeah.
so it doesn't look like crap. And if you don't take the time, you're gonna see it. It's just taking that little extra minute goes a long way.
So I don't know if you've been following along on the stories, but it's a shadow bead reveal,
Yep.
but it's an inch and a half trim that goes first, then a shadow bead reveal, then your drywall.
Oh, that's cool.
But that inch and a half trim isn't there. So
Really?
you're matching up shadow bead to non-existent trim. So I was like, how
Huh.
the fuck do I do that? Like I get it from the sides, but at the top,
Yeah. At the top,
how
yeah.
do I match those outside corners, right? So I
Oh, that's
set
a
up
pain.
two. Well, it's not. what do
Yeah.
you what do you
Once you do
so
it.
I set up a left and right laser and
Hmm.
then took my measurement, put that piece in, and then measure everything from that. And it
Oh,
worked
yep.
out great. So I thought that was an interesting thing. So I made a big video about it of like step by step,
Yep.
this is how I did this shit. And then at the end of it, I don't know if I'm going to add it or not, but I took a video of, and why would I show everybody how to do this? The secret sauce? Because you're not going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not going to do
They're more
this.
interested in watching you do it.
Yeah, dude, you're not going to spend half an hour on each door.
Yeah.
No way you are. I
No.
spent almost
No.
2 full days beating out one, two, 14 doors. Like
That's some work.
I took my time. I took
Yeah.
my
Well,
time.
you want to with something like that. You
Yeah.
really do.
And
That's you can't easily go back and fix that.
no, and it didn't take 2 days. Like I was
Good.
boxing and doing screws and
Yeah.
like doing
Oh yeah. Well,
my due diligence, but
regardless.
it took time, man. And I
Yeah.
mean, if you're not quoting properly for that, you're just going to lose your ass doing it properly. So then you just
Yeah.
don't do it properly, and then you never get jobs again for that
Yeah.
stuff because you suck.
Yep.
And not that you suck, but like you're not doing it for free, and I get that. But that
Yep.
goes back to that little
Hmm.
drape. You pull it
Yep.
back and
Hey,
you
you want
show
to see what's
people,
back here?
yeah, hey, there's a lot of
First one's
fucking money
free.
back here. Yeah, exactly.
There
I
is.
the first time that I was being like a mercenary, I was working for a guy, cash, this and that, and I thought $30 an hour was pretty good money, man. And I was killing it, like 12-hour days, 7 days a week. Like I was rolling around in money. And then I got
Yep.
out and we had a bunch of beers the one night, and he was putting me out at 65 an hour
So he's
and
making your wage on top of you.
double. Yeah, you know what I
Double, yeah,
mean? Like
double. Because he's making his and then whatever he gets off of you. Yeah.
it was crazy, man.
Yep. That's how
Um,
we in Maine, well, where I live, I'm very close to call it the island. It's Mount Desert Island, and it's a very popular tourist place. I mean, all summer long, it's nonstop traffic in and out of that off that island. But there's also a lot of celebrities that live there. Martha Stewart's got a home there. Jerry Seinfeld lives there.
what?
Yeah, like they've all got homes there. George Bush Senior's got a house there. I mean, endless,
Fucking
endless
Martha
celebrities.
Stewart?
Literally,
Martha Stewart. I love
a
that.
guy that we work with pretty closely just did Kirstie Alley's house. You know, it's
What?
like, yeah, it tore the whole back of her house off. But that's the thing, like if you get down on that island, the big thing with it is getting down to the island. It's a pain in the ass. Like even, I'm only a
Oh,
half hour from there, but in the summertime, it's a 2 hour drive because of the traffic.
what the
One way.
fuck?
It's retard. It's insane. It's horrible. But the money on that island is insane. Bottom dollar for us up here for 8 foot walls is $30 a sheet. It's probably 100 down there on the right job. It's sick money.
Oh.
But I mean, you might get 5 hours a day on the job.
Yeah, you almost
And then
need to
you're gonna
rent a
deal
place.
with the pickiest of people.
Yeah,
Like
let
you've
him.
got to be able to, and that's if you have that mindset to go down there and deal with that kind of person day in and day out, and you're gonna reap the reward of it for sure. But you got to mentally be able to deal with that every day.
But the
And
the
I don't know if it's
difference,
worth it every time.
I mean, with your skill set, they're still gonna find stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Listen,
if
nobody's perfect. I don't care who it is. You shine a big enough light down on a wall, you'll find something. You
oh,
can you can hit you can touch up a wall 1,000 times. You're always gonna find something.
I
And a
don't
lot
even mean
that's
that.
yeah. Oh yeah, right.
This guy's fucking trucks, whatever, or
Yeah, he didn't
like,
wash his truck today.
yeah, like, well, get the
Why has he got
fuck
mud
out
on
of
his
here.
pants?
Yeah.
No, that's
Oh,
just I've heard so many stories. Even my wife's uncle, they live down in southern Maine, and he works for his brother. They custom home builder. He's got a subdivision they just did. There's like, I don't know, 10, 12 houses in there. Not a single house under $1 million. It's one of those areas,
wow.
smart homes. And they it's very common. They'll throw this 50, $60,000 kitchen together. Homeowner shows up, no, tear it out. I don't like it. So their shop's full of countertops,
Yeah,
cabinets, flooring. And it's all free. And like it's to the point where they can't even keep any of it anymore because they have so much of it. So
we
they
don't have
just
a
have to
space.
throw it away or give it away. And like everybody that works on that crew has brand new kitchens in their houses because, they just got them for free. It just happens so often. But
I I love people with money for that because they're just like,
it's
well, we
insane.
don't like it anymore. And then you're like,
Yeah.
well, I guess we'll throw it out. And they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what else do
Yeah.
we do with it? I'm like,
Well, that
okay.
goes back to Dana's place, right?
Yeah.
They literally finished his bathroom. The next day it flooded. And he's like, well, I'll give you a year to do the whole house. And they tore those two bathrooms out again. It's like, I don't live in that world where money isn't real.
I like
So it just blows my mind when people can throw it around like that.
imagine how tight your ass would pucker up if Dana White told you you have 1 year and then
Right.
you're not gonna make it.
Yeah. Well, like that's the thing. We got 3 months left. The
Oh,
builder's like 3 months is going to go fast. And it's a big house. The painter's got to get in and do his thing. I'm sure we'll be back
Dana White, Conor McGregor, and Joe Rogan show up on site. Okay.
and fuck that place up.
Yeah, and Dana White's pointing his finger, McGregor's kicking the shit out of people, and Rogan's like
Yeah, fucking arm wrestling.
left hook, and he's commentating.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Pulls the mic out. So, how do you feel about that fight?
It's like, so, do you think you did a really good job with this drywall? Because your face looks
Yeah, just
really
broke
rough.
that. Yeah, that corner beat didn't even chip when you smashed Connor's face off of
And then a guy like me is all fucked up. He's like, well, Trim Tex is really great product.
it.
Oh, I bet you Dana White's a fucking man. I bet you
Oh
he's pretty
yeah,
cool, dude.
yeah. It's that's the thing. It's like we're doing all this. Well, I say we. Kenny, the builder, is doing all this work. We're just in there to finish it. But you go through this whole process, and he literally only comes up once or twice a year for a week, if that, a couple days
Yeah.
usually. But he just when he's up, he wants a place to come to that he doesn't have to worry about.
Totally
And he's
did.
got that other property down the road too. Like I told you, get that go-kart track. He's got a just built a 100-foot garage. It's like it's cool. Cool hometown hero.
That is
He
pretty tough. I didn't believe you for a second. And then when you
yeah.
told me, I was like, I'm going to keep track of all the cool shit I hear this week. And I bet you that's the coolest. And you
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I remember when we were kids, the local store in Levant, my brother was working there making pizzas, and Dana came in one day while he was up. We were like, I don't know, 16, maybe 15, 16. Yeah, we were probably 16 because we had our licenses, but he my brother was at the register, he gave him his pizza and Dana handed him a fat tip. He's like, oh, and my brother was like, I know I should know who you are, but I can't quite pin it. Then he went home, he's like, oh, it's fucking Dana White. That's why he just hated me at 50.
yeah, here's more than what the pizza's worth
Yeah,
as a tip.
yeah, yeah. Here's half your paycheck for the week at 16 years old.
Dude, I remember 650 to wash dishes.
Yeah,
That was my first jam, and I did
$5
not
an hour was
last
my
very
first one.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I made $5 an hour. I was like, I don't know, right before I got my license, 13, 14, 15, from my grandmother. She had a redemption center. Right, we lived next door, so I just go over and count bottles once in a while. And then my grandfather was a brick mason, and he's like, hey, if
Okay.
you get tired of counting bottles, you want to go work this summer, I'll give you $10 an hour. And I'm like, hell yeah. Did not know what I was getting into
You're
being
like,
a mason tender.
I know math. And you're like, yeah, but do you know what
He's
a
like,
base it is? Yeah.
yeah. He's like, you ever haul bricks up staging? So I literally made it. I think I made it a month. Got my first couple like I think I got a couple $400 paychecks. Went and bought a bunch
Yeah.
of pot, and I was like, "Peace. This sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks." That was the worst work. I mean, when you're 16 and you don't have the mindset, you know what I mean, to be a good worker, you're
Yeah.
just there to make a check. I definitely was not there to learn how to be a mason. I was there to just get my weed money and go home,
Dude,
and I hated every minute of it.
when I was that age, I would like get a job, and then when I was like, fuck this job, I don't like it anymore, I would just
Yep.
go in high for a week, like get super stoned, and then go
Yeah.
in and be like, can I do this super high? And then I
Yeah.
would go in and still hate it and be like, oh no, I have to
No.
go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then I would just do the same thing. Like it took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, that kind of shit is crazy. But that's that whole thing. And I remember not quite exactly when, but I remember when everything clicked,
Yep.
where I was like, I think I'm gonna do construction forever.
Yeah. I
And
remember it too.
and then I sharpened up. And
Yep.
then I was like, man, now I'm like really fucking good at this.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think you got to get towards the end of your 20s, early 30s to really have that awakening. Like, just realize
totally.
that if you want to make more money, especially in the trades, even if you're working for somebody, treat that job like you're the one that's responsible for it. If
Yes.
something's wrong, you're going to get the phone call. If you do a good job, you get a bonus. You know what I mean? And I kind of started treating it that way when I worked for my buddy painting, and it didn't take long. They started letting me run a few jobs, and nothing huge. I think the big one I did for him was a bank renovation. They let me run it. Basically, it was an hour and a half out of town. I was the closest to it, and it just worked out. And I had never been to a subcontractor meeting in my life. I
Mhm.
had never been the head guy on the job, and they just kind of threw it at me, and I just went in every day and listened to the foreman and the supers, and everything was fine. And that's when I realized I'm like, oh, all you got to do is show up and listen, and just kind of work with everybody on site, and you'll get your job done. And if there's an issue, just then you can make a phone call. But your boss puts their trust into you to go in there
Mhm.
and do the job and not call them every day. And if there's a problem, make a decision and own up to, even if it's the wrong decision, and just own it,
I
right? And
always said
that's
that to people. Just make a
just
fucking
make a fucking
decision.
decision.
Just
Yeah.
make the
I don't
decision.
even care if it's the wrong one. Just if something comes up, just make a
Yeah.
decision. We got to keep going. And then if it's wrong, we'll fix it when it's wrong, you know.
Here-
But you're not going to get anywhere going, hang on, let me call somebody. It's like,
Yeah.
no, just you're the one here, make the decision. But some people are just, and I was one of those. I was very timid when it came to making a big decision
Yeah.
because I didn't want to get screamed at. But then once you get a few ass chewings, it's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't care.
no one's throwing hands.
Yeah.
Like
Listen,
we're all right here.
it's
Yeah.
4 o'clock. I'm leaving. Bye. I'll talk to you in the morning. You know.
Um, because I don't have an education, I always thought that the like site supers, foremans, like all of that kind of stuff, GCs,
Yep.
that was like something that really needed a lot of education. Like I was
Yeah.
never going to get it until the first meeting I sat in on.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh, this is just my job, but you are talking about it.
Yep.
Right.
I think
And
it's
it was
some
just
guys are
easy.
just good at like just keeping track of a job,
Yeah,
right? Like something that's some people's strong point. And some guys are better at just doing the work. Like I'm definitely not a manager. I am a boots on the ground. I like to
totally.
have my hands in it and make sure things. That's why I don't mind doing like I work with my uncle and my cousin, his son helps us, but I just would prefer to just do the houses myself if I can, because at least I have a hand in every part of it and I know I've hit everything that needs to be hit. Because that can get confusing too. Like my uncle went into Dana's, taped the whole place, and then I show up and I'm like, found a couple of angles that got rolled, never flushed. I'm like,
Ew.
oh, I'm gonna grind that down with some 60 grit and then hand coat it. But you can you can run in circles sometimes. It gets a little overwhelming if you got a big place that's chopped up and you're by yourself. It's just
Yeah.
like, when the hell am I gonna get the tape on this place? Like that one with his prep and putting the tape on it, he was 4.5 days on 10,000 board feet because they hadn't had the basement done yet. It's like that's not good time at
Well,
all.
and this place that we're doing right now with Nate, I would be so fucked without Nate there.
Yeah.
Like it's just there's so much old to new and like
Yeah.
patches everywhere and all kinds of, and
Yeah.
that's Nate's strong point. Like
Yeah.
he's the board whisperer dude. He like runs his hand over it and he's like, and then
Yeah.
you come back in an hour and he's like, it's done. It's done now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And
Got to
then
have guys like that.
well, that's the whole thing, right? Like I was like bead and like all the things that I like to do. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It
Yeah.
pays really well.
Yeah.
But having that like team member there that and it's his
Yeah.
strength. Like you
Yeah.
have to use people for their strengths
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
you know and it's not like
Definitely.
I would have brought him in anyways. If it wasn't his
Yeah.
fucking strength, I would have brought him in, right? Like I love working
Right.
with Nate, but it's
Yeah. Well,
having
having
those
somebody you can work with too.
yes.
You got to jive with the guys you're going to spend a whole day with, every day.
Yeah.
We,
We fucked around all day today. Once we
yeah.
started winning, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
And
this is nice.
every day's like that with him. Like sometimes you don't win as heavy as we did today, but I mean, like having
Yeah.
guys on site that it is just a positive vibe. Even when you're like losing, it's a
Yeah.
positive vibe. You
Yeah.
can't beat
Definitely.
that.
No, you gotta enjoy your job, and
Yeah.
like drywall is not a glamorous job.
No.
It's dirty, it's dusty, it's fast paced, you're huffing and puffing, especially if you're really cranking. So crank the radio up, crack a couple jokes, whip a 6 inch full of mud at the guy you're working with. Don't be a dick. There's no reason to get all huffy and puffy. If you don't like the job, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And it is not for everybody. And that goes for every trade. Everybody has their little shtick, and you got to find it if you want to be in the trades.
Yeah.
If being a GC to me is just being a manager. That's it's
Literally.
it's it's literally all it is. It's a guy that's not good enough at one particular trade, so they just manage all of them. You know,
See, I was the
but
opposite of that when I took on being a GC because I was like kind of good at all the things and
yeah,
the things that mattered at the end of the day, like frame board, tape, paint, like my uncle paints.
yep,
So that all made sense. But you're right. Like a lot of GCs and a lot of site supers, they're just like the coaches that couldn't play.
yep, yep, yeah. It's our area. It's the good GCs. You know who they are.
Yeah.
They do really good work. A lot of them are framers that
Yeah.
turn into GCs.
Well,
And they'll throw up these fucking half-ass houses and then chase you out the door.
yeah.
It's like that we've run into that a lot, especially with new ones. You're like, all right, because sometimes you can't pick up on the red flags,
Yep.
till the end.
I see them right away, bro. I smell
Yeah.
those now. I got
Took me a
good at
couple
that.
years, but started to see them
Yeah.
immediately. We took a couple of hits in the last year or two. Just, some people are just scumbags.
But
You're
like,
never gonna get rid of them.
are they good learning like curveballs
Well,
that you got, or
yeah.
you just kind of got fucked over?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The big one was, for my uncle because this is technically his deal. I work as a sub.
Right, right.
He is the drywall contractor, but he and I we bang these out as a team, and basically the jobs get split down the middle.
Yeah,
But 70% of the work comes from him. I do bring contractors to the table, but not nearly what he does, But he's also very old school. A lot of
yeah,
these jobs are on handshakes because he's been working for these guys for 25, 30 years,
yeah.
right? You forget one of these guys burned you years ago. So
Yeah.
there's a reason you weren't working for him. And they call you up out of the blue. Yeah, why not? Go do it.
With the perfect job. Yeah.
Perfect job. Yeah, the best pictures I've ever put on Instagram and got burned $8,000 on that house. And you want to talk about a hard Christmas for my uncle. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to take the hit myself because it was my own fault for not putting a contract on it. I'm like, well,
Good on him. Because then
it is what
nobody
it
else would have
is.
done that.
Well, I certainly wasn't going to work for free, and I made it very clear. And it would not to be an asshole. I'm like, this had nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
and I have to rely on you when I'm on your job, right? So
That's why I'm happy that you're a sub, though,
yeah,
because
oh yeah,
you and
I can
him
just
have a
leave if
contract.
I smell anything funny, I'm just out. I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
it. I'm pretty honest about it, and I wasn't at first because I wasn't trying to step on toes or anything because he's built his reputation. Like I said, he's been doing this for 40 years, but he's also, that generation does it different. They really
Yeah.
do. And a lot of those guys haven't caught up to, the digital age, really. He's a paper book guy, and so am I. Just as a sub, all I'm writing a bill for is my labor.
Yeah.
I don't supply material. I mean, it makes taxes
Yeah.
super easy. It's mileage,
Mhm.
tools, and labor, whatever I build up for the year. But
I
that's another
think,
reason why I don't want to be a full-fledged contractor. It just adds so much stress to it.
and how much, what percentage of money increase do you get for all that
Right.
headache? And if it's
You would
not
have to increase your workload
50%,
so much to really reap the benefits of it. Why not
yeah.
just go work an 8 hour day and make more or the same or, and not kill
Yeah.
yourself mentally and
Dude,
physically?
that contract work was like 115 or 105 a year plus bonus. And I walked away
Yeah.
from that in a fucking heartbeat because I
Yeah.
was like, no. And I mean, things are up and down, but I mean, the numbers aren't
Yeah.
that fucking different. Like
Yeah.
when you put into perspective the amount of bullshit you're not dealing with,
Yes. Yeah.
fuck
Your
you.
own sanity is worth a lot.
You
And
bring it
I've
home with you. Yeah.
absolutely, I had that twice in my life where I had those jobs that I just could barely get out of bed to go do. And one of them
Hmm.
was when I took on service advising for the dealership because I was in over my head. I was 21 years old, not a salesman,
Yeah.
and but I wanted to move up and make more money, but I had to prove that I could do the job. And man, these texts come to you, oh, it needs this, this, and this. Okay. I remember vividly what sold me on quitting that job was techs wanted me to sell a four-wheel brake job and a bunch of other shit. But the customer's like, no, that's great. Can you just save the old parts so I can look at them? Like, yeah, sure, I don't care. So we had all the parts. We went out to his truck. It was just a Ford Ranger, and we go out after all the work was done, and I'm like, yeah, well, there's your brake pad, and I picked it up, and it was
It's
a
fine.
brand new. And the only saving grace is when I picked it up, I whacked the bedside, and the pad material broke off the backing plate and fell into the box. I'm like, oh yeah, see, there you go. That thing was
See,
ready
this
to
thing's
fail.
fucked.
He was an older guy. He goes, oh wow, yeah, completely sold that. We did the right thing. But I just looked at the tech. I'm like, this is insane. And
Yeah. That feeling
told my
that you are
manager,
a piece of
yeah, I just
shit
had
is
that
not
pit in my.
cool.
I brought it up to my manager, and he goes, yeah, that's just what this is. I'm like,
Eh,
that's fucking bullshit. Like,
no,
I
thank
just
you.
didn't like it at all. I don't like lying
No.
to people, so I put my notice in immediately within like a couple days, and but then I ended up in between working doing the Hyundai parts and going into the contracting. I quit after a couple of years and went and worked for a yacht company building
Oh yeah,
hulls for their yachts. It
that'd
was
be
Hinkley
dope.
Yacht. It sounds dope. I worked in the laminate shop
Oh,
with
that's
carbon
not dope.
fiber and Kevlar. And once that shit gets on your skin, you want to talk about a nightmare. But
Uh,
that was another job. I had to be on site at 5 o'clock every day. It's an hour from my house. And literally nothing but drug addicts that worked in that place. I stuck out like a sore thumb. I was on a good crew, but it just was one of those jobs I just could not get into the groove of it.
yeah,
And I just hated everybody I worked with, aside from the two guys that I carpooled down with who were friends of mine that got me the job. And I'm like, I remember just every day, my drinking, that's when I started like really drinking heavy.
like
And it,
quadruples because
yeah, big
here
time.
are you. It's sad. Like
Yeah,
that was the biggest thing that I learned was I started not winning all the time, but I started sleeping better, man. Like,
yeah, just, yeah,
at the end of the night, I lay down and I go, I did my best today. Nobody got fucked over by me today.
yep,
Like, and
yep,
and as soon as I get a hint of somebody wants me to do something that I'm against, I don't do it.
yep.
And
And you can do that.
you can't do that if you don't work for yourself, man. Like
Absolutely.
you're because I don't care about sorry, I care about my money very much. But I mean,
Yes.
I don't care about the money of it all. I care about the like who do my kids see when they see me and who do
Right.
the community see when they see me and
Yep.
who do the customers like how do the customers see you and things like that, man. Because
Yep.
it like
No, absolutely.
if you're like a fucking piece of shit,
Yeah.
right? Who's fucking people over for your money,
Yes.
that's tough, dude. There's not enough money to make me do that. Maybe
Yeah.
there
No,
is, but
absolutely.
I haven't found
I
it.
mean, yeah, to a point. But I agree. I'm very big on like having a good attitude on a job site. I never
Yeah,
let my emotions get the best of me. I do at home. I'm guilty of that. I get wound up at home just because
same.
of the stress comes out when you get home.
We all do.
But you have to your reputation's all you have.
Yeah.
And my reputation at this point is I do good work and I'm a very happy guy on the job site. And that's always the thing. Always have a smile, always going. Like you never stop, you always got a smile on, and you crack a joke. But I always have my headphones on too, so I probably sound
Yeah.
like an idiot. I'm like farting and laughing and singing
Yeah.
along the songs. If I could
Um
be a fly on the wall and watch myself, I'd probably stop wearing headphones.
the cool thing now is a long time ago I used to lay in bed in the morning and I would set an alarm early and be
Yeah.
like, do I have to do this? And
Think of reasons not to go in.
yeah, and
That's how it was for me.
you would just go in because you had to. Now
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I'm just exhausted from yesterday, you
Yeah.
know,
But you still go in
but I
and enjoy
fucking
it.
want to. Like
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to get to work every day. Sometimes I
Yep.
drag my feet getting out of bed, but I would much rather have a good rest and
Yeah.
go to
Once
work.
you're in your truck driving to work though,
Oh, I
you're
love it.
ready.
Super
Yeah.
excited.
You're ready. No, I'm the same
Yeah.
way. I remember that when I worked for that yacht company, like I'd wake up and just I'm like, I gotta think of a reason to call in today. Every day. I do it at least once a
Yeah.
week. And I think I made it 9 weeks at that job.
And they allow it. And then you're
And
like,
they
well,
allowed.
aren't you fucking people going to fire me, man? Because I don't want to be here. Like,
Oh, I was trying. I really was.
yeah,
And they just
52
wouldn't do
days
it.
a year, you're sick. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, nobody's sick. Oh yeah,
what are
I
you
remember
talking
coming up with
about?
stupid excuses too. Oh, my wife stubbed her toe and I gotta take her in to get it looked
Hmm.
at. Anything I could come up with.
Yeah,
But that's a sign that you shouldn't be at that job.
100%. And again,
And I took
sorry, go ahead.
I took a $4 an hour pay cut to leave that job to go back
So,
to selling parts, and it was
so be it.
still worth it.
Hmm.
Still worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I preach it a lot, but like, if you don't like what you're doing, stop fucking doing it. And
Yep,
in five
absolutely,
years from now, you can master a trade or do whatever the fuck
absolutely.
you like to do. It'll take you 5 years, and you'll be in the same position, but you'll be happy.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's the best thing about trades. If I decided I didn't want to drywall anymore, I could go apprentice as a plumber and 4 or 5 years, I'm a journeyman. Back
Literally.
to making 40, $50 an hour. It doesn't even matter. You know, drywall, I don't even know how I ended up doing it. I think it must have just been a fate thing
Yeah,
because as
fell
soon
in
as
your
I
lap.
started doing it, I'm like, I like this.
Um,
I've never liked pulling wire or putting doing plumbing. I've done a bunch of it. Never
It's not
liked it.
appealing. Not appealing to me at
Not at
all.
all. Cutting wood's not appealing to me.
I
I
like that
mean,
shit.
I get it. I used to do a lot of tile too. That wore off on me. It's just I don't know. Drywall was the only real one that stuck. I
Yeah.
don't know how long I'll hang on to it, but right now it's my bread and butter. So,
I've got a call in 5 minutes.
all right, we can wrap it up
Um,
because it's almost 10 anyways, and I
that's
gotta
two
get up
hours.
early.
We're good.
We're good.
I do want to say we jumped into this pretty quickly. For everybody that's not aware, your skill set and like the keeping everything square and like how presentable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your work is like fucking phenomenal, dude.
Oh,
And
thanks, man.
I mean, I always say that there are like finishers that get it to paint and it works, and there are
Yep.
and then there is a level above that where it's kind of like a dick measuring competition of like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
perfect can I make this?
Yeah.
And I mean, you're a slam dunk on that. Like, well,
Thanks,
Brad
man.
Hanna fucking is like the only other guy that I know that fucking runs shit straight.
Yeah.
It's you.
Well, he's the literally the reason I
Yeah.
tightened my work up because he gave me I've been talking to Brad on Instagram for 4
Years.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years maybe. And before I was on the auto tools, and I remember watching him early on when he was doing them and watching him learn. And once he switched to North Star, I saw that big jump
Yeah.
and just like, damn, looked like grid paper,
Oh, and I,
And I don't know if it was the North Star boxes or if it was his almost like a mind like a
yeah,
placebo effect maybe. I've never used a North Star tool in my life. I do have a Columbia box. I can that great box, but I think it's more
if
the
you were to
operator.
ask me what happened, I think it was getting in touch with Mark.
Yeah, I think you're
I'd,
right.
I think that's
I
probably
think you're
what did
right.
it is you've got this like
He got
master
some good
sword
advice.
maker. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
all right,
Well,
man. So where are you anywhere other than Instagram?
no, just
Good for you.
Instagram. Yeah, I've got a Facebook for myself, but
Yeah.
I don't really use it. Like I even laid off Instagram for a while just because just turned into like a big beauty contest and a pissing
Yeah.
match constantly. I'm like, this is annoying. Like what, you know,
No,
I
thank
don't
you.
care how anybody does their job, and especially if it doesn't affect you. Why would you piss and moan about it? And
Yeah.
kudos to you, dude, for sticking with this and really
Thanks, bro.
doing awesome stuff. I'm very happy for you, and I love seeing it. And one of these days, I'm either coming up there, or if you guys are in the States, we're gonna
Yeah.
link up. We'll get there. I
Well,
talked to Curtis, fall
yeah.
finishing.
Curtis is dope,
He
man.
comes to Portland once in a while because his brother does like bowling tournaments. I'm
Yep.
like, let me know, man, because he likes metal too. I'm like, we'll go hit a metal show or
Yeah.
something. Be awesome. So
I've met Curtis. He's a fucking solid dude. I
yeah,
like him
no,
a
seems
lot.
like an awesome guy. Great finisher too. Another guy
Yeah.
that got some words of wisdom from Brad and really took it and ran with it. His
It,
finish work has just come full circle. It's
uh,
awesome.
I did say that on our podcast. I think in the fucking bio I wrote, I think that was the tightest work I've seen face to face.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's very good at what he does.
And that's
Okay.
cool though because like, oh, sorry, no,
No,
we'll
no,
end
no,
it right
no.
there.
Yeah, all right, fine. Okay, so make sure that you check out HighCut Drywall. That's Josh. It's fucking
I don't
is
post
super
much.
dope work. It doesn't matter. They can go
I
back and
might
take a look
soon.
at the rest, dude. It's
Yeah.
leave his Facebook alone.
You won't find it.
You won't find it anyways.
You won't find it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I was
Hey, no problem, dude.
super happy to
Anytime.
catch
Like
back
I
up.
said, it took a while to do this again, but I'm always happy to do it.
Good. Once a
Anytime,
year is
dude.
fine. That's totally
Yeah,
acceptable.
gives us enough time to build up shit to talk about.
You got it, man. All right, everybody. Be humble, treat everyone the same, and do your
Do your fucking
fucking
job.
job.